Hello. Um, my name is Maurice Daniels. Facebook, MeWe, Twitter, I'm Atheist Mo, and Mo Atheist on YouTube. This channel being Atheist Mo. Hi. Now, I entitled this a part 3 because my first one was very much incomplete. My second one, I thought I did a really good job, but I was still incomplete. I've been attempting to do 35 to 40 verses in my head by memory and put it into video. The very first part, I'm making a part 3, by the way. The very first part, I'd say if I'm going to memorize 36 verses, the very first part is going to be 12 verses, and I got that memorized easily. Once I get through the first 12 verses, I can get through 24, 36 verses. Like, I tend to do videos ad lib and improv. I don't use bookmarks, and I use very little notes of any. And I go all ad lib improv, and I create a comedy show out of it. And I can also create a horror show out of it. The horror show is my chat reply over there. I let people bother me, outside sources bother me. Like, I start getting someone who wants a questions and answers video when this is not designed to be a questions and answers video. Then you got the people who want to be verbally violent in their comments about how I don't like how you're an atheist and you're going to go to hell, and I don't like you because I'm a Christian and you're making fun of Christianity. So I'm going to block, spam, delete anyone who's going to interrupt my video broadcast, because I've encountered multiple problems. I'm still going to leave the chat open. I'm not going to block that. If I get like-minded people on there, that's okay. Even if you're a Christian and you want to know some shit. If you're a Christian and you want to know some shit about answers about something, I suggest you wait till the end of the live chat and go to the comment bars below, because you'll interrupt my seance in my head about how I got 35 to 40 verses up here. I'm making a part 3 because part 1 and 2 didn't even cover it, when it's like each video was 55 minutes long. It takes a while for me to get going into the book, because I tell you the truth, I really don't even like using the book. I don't like using the Bible. I like to just talk on about something or something else. The only reason why I use the Bible in video or a Bible in memes is I want to use it as an activist tool against your religion. That I want you to think about how it's evil and lies and what I'm going to get at. So I'm going to switch to a smaller book than I usually use. I've used numerous videos with a giant book go to a smaller, more medium-sized book, and it's still a King James, like that other giant fucking Family Bible shit. So now, I kind of made my intro a bit. I'm still not done with my intro yet. That my 7-day Facebook ban has been lifted. You can look for me, Maurice Daniels, on Facebook. But because I'm severely tired, been making many live broadcasts and participating in chats and stuff, and I'm a bit tired about getting into something. So I stole some music from my friend, the Daily Atheist, Chris Mallard. He's got a show like 5 days a week. And then he's got a 6th day on a Saturday that's devoted to sci-fi and Dungeons and Dragons by atheists. One of my favorite parts of waking up in the morning and hearing this music that Chris Mallard of the Daily Atheist will come on and produce another show. And it gives me intermission music because it's still got an intermission going on. So what makes your Jesus so special? Part 3. I didn't even want it to be a part 3. I wanted it to be one part, but I let stuff distract me. So if you're a troll over there in the chat message, I'm just going to get rid of you so I can continue on and make a complete series. If you want it to be questions to me that I'll answer, I would rather you go below after the live chat and ask me the questions. You better get into this shit before I bore everybody. I just want to talk about other shit besides getting into a fucking Bible. That I invented my own intro about when I started doing videos about 4 years ago. I, as an atheist, would read out a book and I would share it into atheist groups, and all of a sudden the atheist groups can misconstrue what I'm doing. That they thought I really am a Christian pastor. I'm a whacked out Christian who's going to go into their atheist group, and I'm really an atheist too. I've actually had Christians actually mistaken me for a Christian pastor. So I invented my own intro. Let's go into it. That I do not endorse this book or advocate the use of the words of this book. I'm an atheist. I use this book as a weapon against itself. So all evil, it's all lies. I'm capital N-O-T. I'm not a pastor. I'm an activist against this evil, despicable book. That's all my invented words in my head that I say about where I stand. Where I stand is I'm anti-religion. I'm using a religious book, but I am an anti-theist atheist. And let's get down into this, that your Jesus is not so special when there's other crucifixion stories in the Bible. Jeremiah 10. Jeremiah 10, chapter, Jeremiah chapter 10, verses 1 through 7. Oh, hear ye the word which the Lord hath spoken unto you, house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen. The heathen is an apostate, the ungodly, the unbelievers. Be not the way of the heathen. They practice outside the God belief. They're heathens. They have their own thing. Be not the way of the heathen. Be not dismayed at the signs of the heaven. I think when you pray, you look up, don't you? There's the stars. Your God said he don't want you to do that in Jeremiah 10, verse 2. Be not like the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of the heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. Oops. I just found a cross reference to 18:3 of Leviticus. And after the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwell, shall ye not do. The doings of the land of Egypt, I don't want you to do. You shall not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, I don't want you to do. Whither I bring you, ye shall not do, neither shall you walk in their ordinances. They're the heathen, and the heathen are dismayed by the heavens and the stars. Don't look up at them. Jeremiah 10, verse 3. For the custom of thy people are in vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They cut out a tree from the forest. Well, they do. With an axe. They deck it with silver and with gold, and fasten it with nails at the bottom right here. It doesn't move because you fasten it with nails at the bottom. We're guessing evergreen tree, right? Verse 5, they are upright as a palm tree, but they speak not. The tree's not going to talk to you. They must needs to be born. Because they cannot go. They cannot go. What? They cannot run away or anything. The trees. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither as it is in them to do good. A tree cannot talk to you, and it cannot do evil or good. No shit. Verse 6, for as much as there is none like unto thee, O Lord. There's no one else like unto thee, O Lord. That doesn't say a lot about your singularity, about how you're, there's only one God, but when you say there's no one else around you that's like you, does that mean there's other gods? If there was no other gods, you wouldn't have to say there's no one else like you. There's no one like you, so great in thy name and great in might. He's so great. He's great in might. There's no one else that's so greater than you. But I'm all pissed off that you're making these ornaments and these tree images. Didn't he make it clear earlier that he hates Christmas trees and the ornaments, the blacksmiths and shit like that? Verse 7, who would not fear thee, O King of the nations? For doth it appertain for as much as among all the wise men of the nations, and in all their kingdoms there is none like unto thee. Verse 8, but they are altogether brutish and foolish. The stock is a doctrine of vanities. If I go into more of that, I'm tripped off from another topic. You read the rest of the chapter, if you be Christian. Atheists, some don't give a fuck about reading the whole chapter because why do you think we concluded atheism? We read complete chapters, all of them. We read the whole book. When you're a believer, you didn't read the whole book. So let's go on with more of the book about what makes you Jesus so special. Isaiah 40, verse 19. The workman melteth a graven image. The workman melteth a graven image. What's that? Your star on top of your tree or something. And they spread it over with gold and cast it with silver chains. You had some kind of emblem that some kind of blacksmith had to create. And then you have silver chains and gold sparkly shit. You're talking about a Christmas tree, right? He that is so impoverished that he had no oblation chooses a tree that will not rot. You ever notice that most all trees lose their leaves if you're in a wintertime climate? But the only ones that really keep they don't really have leaves, they have needles. They're evergreen trees, the Christmas tree. Oh, Christmas tree. No. Okay. He that is so impoverished that he had no oblation, choose a tree that will not rot. He seeketh unto him a cunning worksman. Yeah, seeketh unto you. You're a cunning worksman. You're gonna create shit for me. Christmas ornaments. And he seeketh a cunning worksman to prepare a graven image that shall not be moved. Hey, set up my Christmas tree for me. Okay. Isaiah 41, verse 19. I will plant in the wilderness the cedar, the shittah tree, the myrtle, and the oil tree. I will set in the desert the fir tree, and of the pine tree and the box tree together. Verse 20, Isaiah 41. That they may see and know and consider and understand together that the hand of the Lord had done this. He set up these tree images And 41, 19 and 20. It says, look at this lovely stuff that I created. These tree images here. But he say that he hated all the tree images in Jeremiah 10 and Isaiah 40 shit that I read. But I hate him. And then, hey, check out these lovely tree images I made. And 41:20. And that's where it stops, 20. But Mo, you're just very picky. You can't just pinpoint one or two verses out of a chapter. You got to read the whole complete chapter. Well, you try to make hours-long videos all the time about this shit. I'm not going to make hundreds of hours-long videos just because you need the complete chapter read for you. If you need to read the complete chapter, you read the complete chapter. I'm giving you the edited version to make this turn out to not be a super long video. If you need someone to read complete chapters, damn, you really need your Jesus and Moses and shit like that right now, because I can't do it for you. You got to step up and read everything for yourself. If you be a Christian right now viewing me, I'm going to tell you how you can read the complete Bible in a year. You read 3 chapters a day for 365 days. You complete the Bible. If you want to go the more accelerated version, you go 6 chapters a day for 6 months. Do that. It might have even took me more than 2 times. It took me many times before I really became an unbeliever. It's just all of a sudden one day it hits you that, hey, my morality, my own morality surpasses this stack of paper. That's only a fucking book. But what makes you Jesus so special when we're going to get on a tree topic. Oh, Christmas tree. Oh, Christmas tree. What does that have to do with your Jesus? Oh, a lot if I go into all the material of the video. Oh, Christmas tree. Oh, Christmas tree. No. What does that have to do with me, Jesus? You know what sparked this up? As if we get out of that damn Old Testament crap and go to a New Testament verse. You Old Testament bad old atheist cherry picker. Galatians chapter 3, verse 13. Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law. Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law. I did a big contradiction series about that. If you look at my past videos. Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us. For it is written, cursed everyone is hanged on a tree. To slow down, the Galatians writer, which we suppose is Paul. Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us. For it is written, Has this fucker had an Old Testament? I doubt it. Most people were illiterate, and there was no really book printing of anything. None those times, though. It wasn't until they invented a printing press that you actually had a book, which is many centuries more afterwards. But a New Testament writer is quoting an Old Testament verse. You know, the Old Testament does not count, but why would there be cross references between the Old Testament and the New Testament? If you read Galatians 3:13, once again, Christ has redeemed us from the curse, the law being made a curse for us. For it is written, the Old Testament book, cursed is everyone who hangs on a tree. Where is it written? It's written in Deuteronomy 21, verse 23. Galatians 3:13 quotes Deuteronomy 21:23. I gotta break in this book. The other book I'm nearly tearing apart because I flipped through it so much. Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 23. His body shall not remain all night upon a tree. They hung someone from a tree in Deuteronomy, and they're not even talking about a Jesus. So there is other crucifixion stories in your book other than a Jesus. What makes that guy so special? You're one singular guy who's so magically special. What about all the other dozens of stories I can go through in this book? How come they are not so special? There's dozens of references to another crucifixion other than your Jesus. Cursed is everyone who hangs on a tree in Galatians 3:13. And then it says the same thing in Deuteronomy 21:23. His body shall not remain all night upon the tree, but thou shalt anywise bury him that day. Once it's morning, I want you down, buried. For he that is hanged is accursed by God, and that the land not be defiled with the Lord God. You better bury that stinky dead corpse first thing in the morning, or else my land's going to be defiled. Cursed is everyone who hangs on a tree, Galatians 3:13, Deuteronomy 21:23. Exit that phase now. I want to go with what makes your Jesus so special when there's other crucifixion stories in your book. If possible, I could go through a couple dozen of them. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh. Let's slow down. Yet within 3 days, Pharaoh. Lift up thy head from off from thee. It's like you're dead for 3 days and all of a sudden I peel your head off your body. Got a decapitated head right here. It's a dead head for over 3 days. And shall hang it on a tree. You're like plopping a 3-day-old dead head onto a stake. For what? It's for bird food. I will put your severed head on a stake, put it up there, let it sit there. Hang me on a tree, and the birds of the air shall eat the flesh off from me. And I crucify a dead head story and provide bird food. What makes your Jesus so special when there's other kinds of crucifixion stories in your Bible? If you go before the Job, before the Psalms, you get to Esther 7, verse 9. And Harbonah, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold also the gallows 50 cubits high. Gallows 50 cubits high, which he had made for Mordecai. If you read through the books of Esther, this Haman guy is after this Mordecai, like he's being a detective of his life, and he wants to hang this Mordecai guy. And if you read on, okay, he prepared a gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. And the king said, hang them thereon. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. What makes your Jesus so special? There's other crucifixion stories in the Bible. The other crucifixion stories in the Bible. How come the other ones who hung on trees did not do anything for you? You get your one special guy that did something for you, but there's other crucifixion stories in the Bible. Deuteronomy 19, verse 5. For the Lord thy God hath chosen him out of all the tribes. I'm reading out the wrong thing right now. 19:5. As when the man goeth into the wood with his neighbor. A man goeth into the woods with his neighbor. What are they about to do? And hew wood, like they're chopping down trees and shit. And his hand fetcheth a stroke with the axe to cut down a tree. And all of a sudden, his neighbor's head gets there. And he cuts off his neighbor's head. And his head all of a sudden slippeth in front of the axe that he's trying to cut down the tree. Help and lighten up his neighbor. Hey, you lightened up his neighbor. You might have a 10 or 12 pound head, and hey, I lightened you up. Weight loss program right there. Stick your head out in front of the axe while he's cutting down the tree. He can lighten you up. He lightened up his neighbor. What poetic English that is. That, hey, buddy, let's go out and chop down some trees. And all of a sudden, hey, somehow my buddy's neck got caught in between the axe and the tree, and I lightened you up, neighbor. You lightened up his neighbor that he died. And you can flee to another city to escape. I'm going to let that murder go. God's saying, hey, you lightened up your neighbor. His head all of a sudden mysteriously got in front of that axe when you're cutting down a tree. You lightened him up and you killed him and he died. But guess what, my buddy? You can go flee to the next city over and live. You shall choose another city to go and live. Yeah. Morality 101 right there. That all of a sudden your neighbor's head and neck gets in front of that axe when you're cutting trees with your buddy neighbor. And the Lord says it's all right that you killed him. You lightened him up. It's all right. You go to another city and live. What makes your Jesus so special? When there's other crucifixion stories in the Bible. What are the other crucifixion stories? I went through a list of kind of many of them. Not just in this video, I've attempted to do all the verses, the last two parts, and I'm in part 3, and each of the 2 parts covered most of the stuff. But I originally designed this as a 1-part video, so maybe I could all nail it down right now. What makes your Jesus so special? The video series is what makes you Jesus so special? Is what makes you Jesus so special. Fucking break time. Video performance so far was Jeremiah 10, 1 through 7. Isaiah 40, 19 through 20. Isaiah 41, 19 and 20. Genesis 40, 19. Esther 7, 9 and 10. Deuteronomy 19, 5. I went through Galatians 3:13 and Deuteronomy 21, 23. And that's a lot. That's only part way through the material, though. I did 2 parts, were both nearly 55 minutes to 59 minutes. I spent nearly 2 hours on this project, and I might have mentioned most of it in the 2 parts and still left something out. Now I'm attempting to put it all into one last part, if I can. Okay. Now, then I did another intermission break. Well, it might have been the first real intermission break of this video, anyways. Throughout the whole broadcast, got a review. Jeremiah 10, 1 through 7. Isaiah 40, 19 through 21. Isaiah 41, 19 and 41, 20. Galatians 3, 13. Deuteronomy 21, 23. Genesis 4, 40, 19. Esther 7, 9 and 10. Deuteronomy 19, 5. Deuteronomy 28, 42. Deuteronomy is the fifth book. It's after the Exodus, Leviticus, and all the other crap. 28. $42. All the trees and the fruit of the land shall be locust consumed. All the trees of your land shall be wiped out. Locust consumed. But Isaiah 41. Isaiah 41. Isaiah 41, 19. That they may see and know and consider and understand this together, that the hand of the Lord hath done this. The Holy One has created this. The previous verse said, I'll plant this tree, I'll plant that tree, and I'll plant that tree. And I love all these trees that I made. But Deuteronomy 28, 42 says, all thy trees and the fruit of the land shall be locusts consumed. What makes your Jesus so special when we go to Acts, the book of Acts? Hey, Mo, you're doing a New Testament thing in Acts. Woohoo! Acts 5, verse 30. The God of our fathers raised up Jesus, whom he slew and hung on a tree. He slew and hung him on a tree, Acts 5:30. But didn't he say he hates Christmas trees in Jeremiah 10? And curses the one who hangs on a tree, Galatians 3:13. And also reference of Deuteronomy 21:23 says, "Cursed is everyone who hangs on a tree." But Acts 5:30 says that the God of your fathers, who he slew his son, who was also himself. He slew this fucker and hung him on a tree in Acts 5:30. Deuteronomy 16:21. And 22. Deuteronomy 16, verses 21 and 22. Thou shalt not plant thee a grove of any trees near the altar of the Lord thy God, which thou shalt make thee. That means don't even put a cross in front of your building in the church. Don't even put a Jesus symbol of a Jesus cross thing in your church. He says, Deuteronomy 16, verse 21, thou shalt not plant a grove of any trees near unto the altar of the Lord thy God, which shall make thee. Because, cursed is everyone who hangs on a tree, and cursed is everyone who hangs on a tree. And, I slaughtered my son and hung him on a tree. It's Galatians 3:13, Deuteronomy 21:23. And then we go to Acts 5:30. And then we go to Deuteronomy 16, verse 22. Neither thou shalt make any images which the Lord thy God hateth. I hateth the image of a tree. I hateth the image of a tree. And I cursed my son, who is also myself, that curses everyone who hangs on a tree, hangs on a tree, hangs on a tree, and he hung you on a tree, Acts 5:30. And then what does he say about trees in 16:22 of Deuteronomy? Is neither shall they make any graven image which the Lord God hateth. Cursed is the one who hangs on a tree. Cursed is the one who hangs on a tree. Then I slaughtered my son and hung him on a tree. And then I hate trees. 16:22 of Deuteronomy. Then I hate trees. 16:22 of Deuteronomy. Cursed is the one who hangs on a tree. Cursed is the one who hangs on a tree. And then I slaughtered my son, who is also myself, on a fucking tree. Acts 5:30. Maybe your God is cursing me by non-working lighters. After all, curse is the one who hangs on a tree. Tobacco tree. The marijuana tree. I'm cursed. I'm cursed on a tobacco tree. It says, fuck you, I don't like trees. 16:22 of Deuteronomy. Curse the one hangs on the tree, curse the one hangs on the tree. And I cursed you by hanging you on a tree. What makes you Jesus so special when there's other kinds of crucifixion stories? Isaiah 42:17. They shall be turned back. They shall be greatly ashamed that trust in graven images. I trust you. I trust you. No, he says, 42:17. They shall be turned back. They shall be greatly ashamed that trust in graven images. That they say to the molten images, these are our gods. You could be idolizing the Christmas trees. You could be idolizing the Jesus cross. You could be looking at the stars in the heavens. You could be idolizing these Christmas trees and Christmas lights and ornaments and shit. And throughout this whole video, he says he hates all that fucking shit. And he hates how you adore these graven images. That could be your cross in your church right now. Of course, during lockdown, we're in state lockdown for over 6 weeks due to the coronavirus thing. That you haven't gone to church for 6 weeks if you're in Michigan, or it's extended on longer. You might go a couple months without even going to church. But meanwhile, you have the YouTubers and the Facebook Livers going on and doing their church services that way. And I see sometimes I'll watch Christian videos, see they have a Jesus cross on their wall like this. Didn't he say in 16:22 of Deuteronomy that he hates those images? And he hates the images in 42:17 of Isaiah. They shall be turned back. They shall be greatly ashamed that trust in graven images, that they say to these molten images, you are my gods. I'll say to my Jesus cross. I'll say to my Christmas tree. I'll say to my money and my sports car and my career, my wife, my family, and all these molten images I have. All the molten images. Everything I look at besides you. It's an abomination unto me. I hate your molten images. He could be talking about your Facebook albums of your family. I got molten images and graven images of everyone I love. And doesn't have a picture of you, God. Still going on at 54 minutes high. What makes your Jesus so special in Isaiah 44 verses 11 and 12? What makes your Jesus so special in? Behold, all his fellows shall be ashamed, and the workmen, they are of men. The workmen who create these devices, the workmen, the Christmas tree directors, the Christmas tree operators, and artistic Christmas tree guys. They're out about this construction of putting this tree upright. They're hammering a Christmas stand right there. They're making all the lovely ornaments. Isaiah 44 verse 11 through 12. Behold, all his fellows shall be ashamed, and the workmen there of men. Let them all be gathered together. Let them stand up. Yet they shall fear, and they shall be ashamed together. You shall fear. I'm going to make you afraid. And you're all going to be ashamed all together. Isaiah 44, verse 19. And none considered in his heart, neither their knowledge nor understanding of it. I have burned part of it in fire, yet I have also baked bread upon it. He burned a big tree stump, and it's only partway burned. And he only made it partway burned so he could make an oven, like a stove, where he can. I only burned part of it in fire, with thereof eateth the flesh, saute flesh, roasteth the roast, and it is satisfied. I even warmed myself by it. And saith, Aha, I am warm, I have seen the fire. Verse 45:17. And the residue thereof he maketh a god. The residue he maketh a god. What's that? All the burnt up shit. And a clump of a half burnt up tree maketh a god. Does he? And I fall down and I worship it, and prayeth upon it, and saith, Deliver me, thou art God. Is he praying to the God, or is he praying to the burnt up tree with the remnants of burnt up food and ashes? And whatever kind of fucking shit you're kind of mesmerized by that you're praying to. If you're praying to something else other than your God, you're praying to this instead. Oh, he does not like that. And what makes your Jesus so special when Acts 5:30. The God of fathers, the God of our fathers, raised up Jesus, whom he slew and hung on a tree. And he curses the one who hangs on a tree, Galatians 3:13, and curses the one who hangs on a tree, Deuteronomy 21:23. And he slew him on the fucking tree, Acts 5:30. But what about the cross? He never mentioned anything about cross. If you study up in the concordances, the commentaries and stuff, you're only going to find maybe 3 verses of something about a cross. There might be a few more, but in my recollection research, there's 3. Matthew 27:40. And saying, Thou hast destroyed the temple and built it in 3 days. Save thyself. If thou be the Son of God, come down from that cross. You're so magic and you're so powerful. Hey, if you be the Son of God, you can just come leap down off that cross. Mark 15:30. Save yourself, save thyself, and come down from the cross. Mark 15:32. Let Christ, the King of Israel, descend now down from off that cross, that he may see and believe that they were crucified with him. Oh, it mentioned something about the other dudes that were crucified with him. There's one dude here. There's one dude here. The two thieves. Remember, there's three of them, right? And then this one in the center is so special that he did something for you. This magical incantation of some dude gets hung on a cross. But how come there's no magic involved in these other two dudes who did nothing for you? How come Jesus is so special? Luke 9, verse 23. And he said to them all, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself. If you want to come after me and follow me, you got to deny yourself. And what does he want you to do? He wants you to give up your life and take up a fucking cross. Like, he wants you to do it yourself. Then come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. Hey, I love you. I care about you. But I want you to give up all in your fucking entire life and pick up this cross as if he wants you to do it your fucking self. What good was it that he hung himself on a cross for you when he's saying, hey, I want you to do the same thing, nail yourself to a fucking cross? What makes your Jesus so special? When we go to 2 Samuel 18:10. And a certain man saw it and told Joab and said, behold, I saw Absalom hung on an oak. And there's another dude in the 2 Samuel story that was hung on a tree. Your God said he already did it to his son, Acts 5:30. He hung on a tree. Even though we went through a couple of cross references of, it says a cross. How many times have we said tree, tree, tree in this video? 2 Samuel 18, verse 10. And a certain man saw it and told Joab and said, behold, I saw Absalom hung on an oak. Absalom's kind of like in the same family line as the King David. Verse 11, and Joab said unto the man that told him, and behold, they sauce him. And why didst thou not smite him there to the ground? I would have given you 10 shekels of silver and a girdle. Why didn't you just smite him to the ground right there? I would have given you 10 shekels of silver and a girdle, which in today's standards amounts to $17.50 in US dollar standards. I saw this guy Absalom hung on an oak. Your Jesus ain't in that story. In the 2 Samuel story, he's not in the 2 Samuel story. There's some other guy who was nailed to a fucking tree. And it wasn't your Jesus in the 2 Samuel story. He was hung on an oak, I tell you. 2 Samuel 18, 14 through 15. Then Joab, I may not tarry thus with thee, and he took 3 darts in his hand. Okay, When they hung him on the oak, he was hung there like still kind of alive. They probably nailed shit through his arms and legs like on a tree and shit. Probably did that. Still alive, still breathing. And what did they do? They got together these 3 darts and plam, plam, plam to his chest. 2 Samuel 18:14. Then Joab may tarry this, and he took 3 darts in his hand and thrust them through the heart of Absalom. While he was on the tree, yet he was still alive. He was on a tree, yet still alive in the midst of the oak. Plunged 3 darts in his chest. Hey, I want to make sure you fucking die, right? And then 10 young men that bore Joab's armor compassed around about him and smote Absalom and slew him. Hey, even though I had you hung on an oak and I like pierced you with 3 big darts in the chest, I got 10 of my buddies to come around and fucking kill you. What makes your Jesus so special? This Absalom guy sure was fucked with, wasn't he? What makes your Jesus so special when we go to Joshua 10? Joshua 10. "24 onward to where we're going to stop. And it came to pass when they brought out those kings from unto Joshua, that Joshua called for all the men of Israel, and said unto the captains of the men of war which went with him, Come near, put your feet upon the necks of these kings." He's stepping on fucking heads. "Put your foot upon the neck of these kings," Joshua said to these guys. Those men of war that went with him, "Come near and put your feet upon the necks of these kings." And they come near and put their feet upon the necks of them. And in verse 25, and Joshua said unto them, "Fear not, neither be dismayed. Be strong and good courage, for thus shall the Lord do to all your enemies against whom ye fight." Your Lord God will do everything you want him to do. Hey, let's all put their fucking feet, step on the necks of these kings. Verse 26, and afterward Joshua smote them and slew them and hung them up on 5 trees. I take it, since it's 5 trees, we're talking about 5 dudes, right? Really, he took 5 of them and hung them up on trees. And they were hanging upon the trees until evening. Does that mean all day long till the evening? It's like sundown. Verse 27, and it came to pass at the time of going down in the sun that Joshua commanded, and they took them down off the trees. Those 5 dudes, 5 dudes, took them down off the trees. And shall cast them in the cave. Took these 5 dead corpses, tossed them in the cave. They're going to put a big boulder in front of the cave opening. Shit like that. Sound familiar? Oh. What makes your Jesus so special? One Chronicles. 1 Chronicles 33. Pardon me, error. I meant 2 Chronicles 33. 1 through 7. Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign and reigned 5 years in Jerusalem. Verse 2. But Manasseh, he did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, like unto all the abominations of the heathens, whom the Lord hath cast out before the children of Israel. Well, there's so many contradiction videos just in those 2 verses. For he built again a high place where Hezekiah the father has broken down and reared up altars. There's a big contradiction, stupid story about how his father Hezekiah broke down images that were originally approved by God and Moses before. He has broken down, he reared up altars for Baalim and made groves. There's the tree verses again. And worship all the hosts of the heaven. I don't want you to worship trees, and I don't want you to worship stars, which was covered in Jeremiah 10. You made groves and you worship the host of heaven and serve them. I'm going to serve the stars and I'm going to serve the trees. No, I don't like that. And also he built up altars in the house of the Lord, whereof the Lord had said, in Jerusalem shall my name be forever. And he built altars for all the host of heaven in the 2 courts of the house of the Lord. Verse 6. And he caused his children to pass through the fire in the valley of the sons of Hinnom. He made his children pass through this fire. They used enchantments, they used witchcraft, and they dealt with familiar spirits, witches and wizards, and blah. That shit's really for real, and it's really a fucking threat, let me tell you. With familiar spirit and wizards, and they wrought much evil in the sight of the Lord, to provoke him to anger. And he set up a carved image, the idol which he had made in the house of God, which God had said to David, to his Solomon his son, in the house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen before all the tribes of Israel, and I will put my name forever. I want my name up there forever. Forget about all this other shit about you want the stars and the trees, and you want to worship this, and you worship that, you worship the other thing. But hey, I want my name up there forever. Only me. And oh, fuck you. Might as well complete the material. 2 Chronicles 28. Four to 5. He sacrificed also and burnt incense in the high places and on the hills and under every green tree. Incense and green trees. No. So that's enough. An hour and 15 minutes is enough. I think I completed this video series successfully now. And if you're a Christian, you viewed through it all, good for you. Do you say that stack of paper, a book, is more moral than you? He doesn't even like you to have Christmas tree idols or stars to look at. Why don't you dump your religion